Hello and welcome to LastofAvari's channel. I will try to explain to you how do I record and edit my gameplay videos, so you could do pretty much the same thing. And the first step is to capture some footage from the game. In this case, it is Minecraft, and you can do that for free. You can obviously do it a more easier way. Can be utilized. And you can use some hardware device where you have to basically adjust a couple of options and hit a button to record, but that will cost you a couple of hundreds of your local currency if your currency is dollars or euros. So that is less than ideal, especially if you are just a hobbyist like me, like myself. So yeah, the software solution can be difficult and can be expensive, but it is certainly much less expensive than buying hardware for that dedicated one single problem. So you have your fraps, always. That is kinda maybe not the best, but the best known solution. There is a program that is called LastofAvari. I believe it costs about $30 or something like that, so not a lot, and that is quite a good program. Maybe not that resource optimized like Fraps, but it is still pretty good, and you have to funk around to set it up correctly, especially codecs and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a good solution. But there is also a $0 solution, which is obviously for our hobbyist purposes is the best. And this program, which I'm using currently, is called OBS, Open Broadcaster Software. obsproject.com is a website, and it is available for both Linux and Windows, and you can even use it, I believe, on macOS. So yeah, you can try it out there. Never tried it there because I don't own any Mac of some kind, of any kind. So yeah, tell me if you are using it there. But yeah, it is not the easiest program, but after you set it up, you can both stream to services like Twitch and even just record videos to your hard drive. So it is not actually that hard. And now, since we have this little clip, we can actually, or I can show you how it works in real world. So let me get you quickly through the settings of OBS. OBS Studio has a lot of different settings, but first you need to go to this buttons menu, and here you have your video settings. You have to set the resolution in which a game will be captured. Here you have a couple of options, and here you have your basic resolution of the game, and then you have your scaled resolution or just output resolution in which the file will be saved. So you can have your gameplay in 4K, for example, but recorded in only 1080p. So that is an option, but usually you would set it to the same thing, and obviously you have your frame rate, 30 frames per second in this case. Obviously you can't really switch it while recording, but yeah, just stop your process and then you'll be able to readjust it quite easily. And the second thing is to set your audio sources. I have here a sample rate of 48 kHz, which works for me. Usually you would set it to somewhere around that kind of range, but desktop audio in my case is this weird thing. You can see NVIDIA high definition audio because it is fed through HDMI lead to my monitor. So this is my option, but you can use for example Realtek HD if you just use that. But usually if you have your audio through HDMI, you have something like this. And for microphone, which you can set here, mic auxiliary device, audio device, I have my trusty Blue Snowball, which works just fine. and you don't have to set anything here unless you have your synchronization wrong. But for best synchronization, you have another option in a different section of settings, and here in output you actually have your streaming and recording. You can stream in one bitrate and record in a different bitrate and even a different codec. So yeah, that's an option too, and it is quite helping since you can have higher quality for your archives. Not crappy like 3 megabit per second, especially that doesn't work well for first-person games, shooters or not. But the main part about recording is to set your rate control. The easiest way to CBR, so constant bitrate, it will be constantly, in this case, 10 megabits, and you can have your compression level. Less compression makes bigger, larger files, but uses less CPU, and obviously more compression makes it much more compact, but it uses CPU quite a lot, and you don't want to have that, since your CPU should be dedicated for the most part to your game, so it wouldn't be slowed down and jerky when you record it. Yeah, that's kind of a nice thought. But here you have a variable frame rate, and this is exactly the thing that's supposed to be turned off at all times, since it can cause out of sync audio issues. So yeah, just keep it disabled right here. And for me, I found that actually encoder X264, it is quite resource intensive, but it works fine enough with this level of compression, and if it is not good enough, then I will switch it to a slightly lower compression. So I have a couple of options here still. It is not the most lowest one, and as a file format I choose MP4, since it is more compatible with the editing program that I use. That is, yeah, right here you see Movie Studio Platinum, formerly by Sony. It was acquired a year or two ago by Magix, and they haven't shut it down, so yeah, that's nice. I've bought this program on Steam, as you can see, Steam Powered Edition. It was on sale at 50%, I think. So instead of $50, I paid only $25. So that's quite nice, and there are free programs, but yeah, I don't think you can have something half decent for free. It is, for the most part, in a free way, can be quite limited, and for me, here I have not only multi-track editing for a few audio tracks and video tracks, but also a decent library of default effects, transitions, and that kind of stuff. So it is a kind of cut down version of Vegas, but actually it is not that much cut down. But yeah, let's get through the rest of OBS settings, because it doesn't end really here. You can have a different audio bitrate, but yeah, you have 6 tracks, and that is plenty enough. I have 128 kilobits, since YouTube will down scale it and yeah, set it at lower quality at processing while uploading, so you really don't have to set it too high. Maybe set it to 256 kilobit if you want a higher quality, but for me, yeah, that works just fine. And as you can see, I have for my files set audio tracks 1 and 2, and for streaming I have 3. Here you can see in Mixer, just hit this gear, you can see your audio sources, your microphone and your desktop audio. You can see that for streaming I have one track that is mixed together with all these sources, and for actual audio file I have them saved separately, so I could use game audio and not affect, for example, microphone. And that really helps. If you screwed up your audio balance, you can just boost something individually or bring it down. So yeah, that quite helps as well. These volume sliders only affect not your actual game audio, but the game audio and microphone audio that will be saved to the file. So you can have your game recorded at one volume but saved at lesser volume, or for example fed to your streaming service at lesser volume, so you could balance it in the way that you will still hear everything loud enough, but for example your viewers will hear it at a different volume. So that can sometimes help, but for recording I usually just edit it in post-processing, and since I have different tracks for it, as I've just explained to you, that is quite easy thing to do. But you also can have your filters for each device, and usually I just have a couple of filters for my microphone because it's not loud enough as it is, so I'll just go here and then boost it. You can just right click and then get your effect by 10 decibel. That is good enough. And then just suppress some noise, since my studio is completely not professional, just recording in my bedroom, and noise from the street sometimes really, you can tell that without this effect. Hopefully with it's not that pronounced. And here you have your scenes, which are basically different screens that are used for the most part for streaming. And here you have your scenes, which are basically screens for different parts of your live stream. It is not that useful for actual recording if you just want to record your video. And here you have sources of different kinds, like display capture or your game capture. You can just right click and add any different thing, for example just a picture for background, or a scrolling text of line, or just simple text on top, an overlay, and that kind of stuff. Here you can have your properties, capture a specific window, or any full screen application that is easier, so you wouldn't have to readjust the game every time you record a different one. That were the basics of how I record stuff, and now we will switch to actual editing stuff. So let me close Minecraft to save some resources for that, and here I have my files. As you can see, this file is being recorded, and here I have my gameplay tutorial gameplay video that we were recording a few minutes ago. I've already put it into Movie Studio Platinum 13, which is not a bad program. On Steam it was available for $50, but I've got it for $25 when it was going for 50% off for discount. So yeah, I don't think there's a better program for the same amount of money, because it has a lot of features of the more high-end Vegas editor, which is formerly known as Sony Vegas, but now it was acquired, I think, a year or maybe 2 years ago by Magix Software. In this case, I will just show what I'm using, and it is a not bad one. I already put this file into it. As you can see, we have different tracks for audio of the game and audio of microphone, so you can adjust it separately right here, or you can just have a different program. Here you can set it in options, preferences, and then go to audio, and you just specify your editor. In this case it's Audacity, and then to edit it. Yeah, that is not exactly what I was going to do. And then just right click your desired track, then open copy in audio editor. So the copy will be created over your single track, not over whole video file, since Audacity is audio editor. It can't process the whole MP4 or any other video file, but in this case I will just show it like it is, and to cut anything down you just set the cursor right here, so your video file will be selected like that. You can see, yeah, one of the tracks of it is selected, it doesn't matter which one. Then you can press S key and it will be cut like that. You can move it. I just want to have here my audio intro music sequence, so you can see here the volume scales down, so yeah, roughly like maybe just a tiny bit less. You can have different kind of cursors you can set here to control your fade in, fade out stuff. For example, just hit it like that, and then you will be able to get your cursor to the edge. You can see that is now different. Just drag it. I want to create like a second is just enough, and for audio maybe something slightly more pronounced, so yeah, 6 seconds. And then when you select in this part of the edge of your effect, just right click and you will be able to select the shapes, how it will go up or down, for example here, or maybe a different option, but for now I'll just leave something like a plain straight line. That will do just fine. And maybe the primary thing that the first step you should do to not screw yourself over is to get your video track, right click on it and then go to switches and disable resample. Resample will make the video more smooth, but it will actually make it, especially during fast movement, blurrier. So yeah, basically there are no situations in gameplay recording when it will help. So just right click, switches and then disable resample. As you can see, the whole family, the whole collection of tracks of this file is being moved at the same time, and it is called a group. You can add or remove a track from this group. For example, you can take this microphone audio, then click group, remove from, and then move it separately. But for the most part, you should have it grouped like this, so it will be easier to move different parts of your video footage. So you can just put it back by choosing every track of the group and then just create new, and then again it is moving just fine. And here for audio, as you can see, I have full volume for the first like 5 seconds, and then it is going down, and this is called this audio envelope. As you can see, I have volume here, and if you don't have it, just select your track, like for example this one, then go to insert, audio envelopes, volume, and then you will be able to create different kind of points at different levels of your volume. Here, as you can see, this point can be deleted. I can create at any point. For example, here, just click right mouse button, then add point. You can manually drag it, or to be more precise, just set to a different level. As you can see, here it is minus roughly 10 decibel. You can delete it quite easily. So yeah, it is quite helpful like that. For your text options, as you can see here, I have this copyright stuff, because it is being distributed, this audio piece, this nice piece of music is being distributed under the terms of Creative Commons attribution license, so I have to specify author. So to do that, you can just right click, insert text media, and then set your font. For example, Verdana, or like I prefer in this case Tahoma, because it is slightly less wide, yeah, while pretty much being the same font as you can see here. Then with this sample text I will show you different options. For example, you have shadow here, which by default moved slightly in a different direction, but I like my shadow to be just spread around the letter. So here you can adjust the offset by x-axis and y-axis. So you can set it in different directions, like minus, and then it will go in a different direction, just to 0. The amount of blur obviously can be different, like for example that or that, or you can have just outline that is a border of a different color or the same color. You can see here it can be of a different width, so up to 10 here, and it is more visible with a different color, like for example that, or something less, yeah, annoying. Let's decrease the brightness, maybe like that, and set your thickness to lower level, so your text will be contrast to any sort of background, which is especially important in your video, since everything is being moved and your piece of text is visible at any point of time. And yeah, this is quite important. Here you can see the location of your piece of text. You can move it manually or just set it more precisely here, like for example that 50-50 is a middle, and here you can have your anchor that's a relative point. Right now it's at the center of the screen, and you have your different colors. The whole piece of text, the whole label, can be only over one set of colors. You can have not only different transitions for your videos, so it will go from one clip to other clip in a different way. For example, let me just to demonstrate it, cut this piece of footage here, so I can do that, and add something like 3D cascade. Here you can just grab it and adjust the amount of sections and stuff like that. You can see here, probably I have to set it to lower preset quality, so it would be less resource intensive, since we are recording at the same time. You can see this kind of stuff. But you can have your different effects for the video itself, and to demonstrate it I will show you this piece of a nice thing. So yeah, you can add a different brightness for your video, and basically the most handy way to do that is media effects. Media effects means that your effect is being applied to the whole file, not just a single clip. So even after you cut it, or if you have already cut your file to pieces, it will be still applied to every single piece of said file. And here you can, for example, add Sony levels to adjust the brightness. As you probably already know, YouTube makes in pretty much every case your footage significantly darker, so here you can just use this Perfect Computer RGB to Studio RGB and adjust output and to full value. As you can see here, it makes the brightest colors still bright, but the darkest colors on the output side will be a little bit, just a tiny bit brighter. So as you can see here, black is less black now, but basically you don't want to raise it that much, so I will still use it at maybe this setting. And to show you something more exciting, I will just add to this little fragment, not to the whole file. In this case it is the same thing, but different cases can be applied for different situations. Let me just add video element effects, and let's just find a blur category, a Gaussian blur, and here you can specify the amount of desired blur and different directions, like for example horizontal range can be lower than vertical range, but let's just set it back. And let's get a little bit into animation. Here you can see, let me adjust it slightly more visible way, our video, and you can set different amount of blur for different parts of the video. And to do that, I'll get to, for example, like about 3 seconds, just hit enter, slightly scale it higher so I could see what's happening, add a keyframe, so it would be still staying at the first 3 seconds at the same value, and then I will go to like 5-second value and add a different keyframe, and here we will set it to 0. So by the time you reach 5 seconds into the video, the blur will be completely gone. And now I can demonstrate it. Here you can see that it is becoming more and more visible, and we have this really nice effect for your, for example, thumbnail. I like to arrange my thumbnail pictures here because it's much easier than doing it in a special editor program, since actually I think GIMP, at least without plugins, is quite terrible for font works. It doesn't have any effects. You can do something by hand, but it is quite annoying, and Photoshop costs quite a lot. So you can do that just here, and then grab the frame, just hit that button, and snapshot will be saved at your current settings. So just for a single frame you can set it to full best quality, save it to like some place, for example here, to the same folder. It will be easier to find, and then you can just find here. That's our image that we can use for our tutorial video, for example. In this case probably I will still edit something more sophisticated a bit later, but that was my way to record videos. You can adjust the audio channels right here. As you can see, volume can be set higher or lower. In post-processing you can set not the whole track, but your gain for just the clip, or just add this little line here and the settings that I have shown earlier. But the program is not that hard. I usually use for output here you can have your save movie, or make movie, or just hit that button. I have my presets, save it to my hard drive, obviously advanced options, and I prefer to use not main concept codec, which is not very good for video. I don't think, at least implementation here is quite terrible for gradient like skies. It makes really blocky low detailed stuff. So I just use Sony AVC for MP4 codec for 720p 30 frames per second, 6 megabits are just fine. For desktop video like this I will probably go with 30 frames per second, but in 12 megabits or maybe 10 megabits, since this video is recorded in 10 megabits in RAW, so it really doesn't make sense to artificially upscale it. And here you can see other settings. You can adjust everything here, like progressive download, audio is set to this amount. Yeah, it works for me just fine. If you have any questions about these programs like OBS Studio or Movie Studio Platinum, you can ask them in the comment section. If I know the answer, I will try to help you, and you can share your advices so other people could use them as well. Thanks for watching, see you later.